hello, hello. Do you see me, Mr. Riley? Do you hear me? Uh-oh. I don't know if he sees me or hears me.
I see you. I see you.
There we
I hear
are.
you.
There we are. You had come out for a minute. I was like, oh
All right.
no, he don't see me. He don't see me. How you doing?
We were spinning. I'm good.
We were
I'm good. I'm
spinning.
out in nature.
You are out in nature. Even in cloudy days, because it's a cloudy day where you are. It's still nice. Oh, you're going in and out.
And watching them.
Can you
Am I
hear me?
going in
And the
and out?
nature, the internet is not behaving. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear
I can
me?
hear you. It's a slight delay, but hopefully that won't like drive us crazy.
Okay.
We may have to, I don't know, we may have to shift and have you in a different location if it keeps freezing because it's frozen on my end. I don't know what it's doing. It might not be doing that to everybody else.
Let me see. Should I look bit here?
Technical issues. Technical issues. I hear you. I just the camera is just frozen. And it could be that it's on my end. It could be that
Is this better?
um we'll see.
Not really.
The light is not as good,
Really.
but you're not
The
frozen.
light is not as good.
But you're not
Yeah.
frozen. Am I in live
The
time?
light
Am I
is not as good.
freezing? Am I freezing?
No, you're looking good. You're
Oh,
not
okay.
freezing.
Okay, you're not freezing anymore. So we'll keep it, I think we'll keep it as is. When you back up, see, I don't know. Well, welcome everyone. We may have to pause this and restart. I don't know though how it works if I have to create a whole new whatever, but hopefully it will work. If not, what I can do is take you out of the frame and you can get resituated somewhere else. And then when you're situated, we bring you back in because you're completely frozen right now on my end. Well, no, maybe not.
Do you want
Can you say
to?
something?
Maybe not.
Are you talking? Yeah.
Freezing.
Say testing just so that I can see if it's working.
Testing. 1, 2.
Okay. Well, let's try. You're a little blurry and it kind of freezes occasionally. If you'd like, we can just keep it going.
Freezing.
Yeah. So this is what I'm going to think. I think we should do as people are coming in and we want to keep it going. I think we might need to have you relocate and I take you out of the frame for a moment and I'll talk to the peoples. And then when you're situated in your new situation, then we'll bring you back on.
All right.
Does that make sense? Okay, hold on one second.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get you out of the frame for a minute. All right. Okay, he's out of the frame. Welcome everybody. We had technical difficulties. But that's all right. We'll keep it going because we have a good 45 minutes or so that we want to bring to you here. And so this is our live stream that we do every first and third Sunday. And I'm really excited to talk about what we're talking about today, because it's something that I think for me personally has really, really been helping me better allow myself to manifest and allow myself to receive things that I otherwise I don't know if I would got. And it's been a few years since I really started getting into ancestral stuff. And so if you're wondering what she's talking about, today's topic is about what role do ancestors play in our lives or in your life. So, and I'm going to put that topic at below so that you can, see what that is. Here we go. So that everybody knows who's coming in, what we're talking about. Hopefully Barry will join us in a moment. He's going to be He's trying to relocate himself so that his signal will be a bit stronger. But for me, the role that ancestors, I never gave this much thought. I really, you think of ancestors and you think of honoring them and you think of all the things, that we're taught as kids and who our ancestors are and, how we should, you know, how they should be revered and so forth in name. And, especially as an African American person and given our history in this country, given slavery, given the trauma, given all the things, and then your grandparents and your family and what they did to make sure your life, was good and was rich and so forth. So it's like this homage, right? It's like, oh, we honor the ancestors, and then it stops, right? And then it's like, okay, we honor the ancestors, and we stop. But then it's kind of like, well, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to honor the ancestors? What does it mean to be in communion with them? What does it mean to do offering and to connect? And I think this is where things get a little muddy for people. And I believe that Barry is back in order. So I'm going to try to bring him back in. Let me see. Oh, you're not. Oh, wait. Why isn't he? You're not showing up. I see your name, but I don't see your face. Why is that? Oh my goodness. Barry, do you hear? There you are. Oh, I was about to say we're gonna have all kinds of technicalities. Can you hear me? Oh, he's spinning again. He's spinning again. Okay, I hear you. I don't see you. We're having issues. I'm going to keep talking only because, there you are again. I don't know what's going on with the laptop today. It was doing totally fine when we did our test. We always do a test, but welcome everybody. I hear you. It's just for whatever reason, you're still frozen. Maybe
You still can't see me?
I can't see you, but I mean, I can see you, but you're frozen. I don't know why it's doing that. There, now you're moving. It's sketchy though. I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to remove you out because what I think you should do, just so that it can be consistent. Oh, now I see you in live time. I was going to say, if it keeps doing this, is to log out and then log back in. But right now you seem like you're in live time. I think you're in live time. Okay. So I was just saying to the audience kind of how ancestors.
If it doesn't log out, then well.
Okay, for ancestors, kind of what that's meant for me. And I was talking about, I think that people, respect the idea of ancestors. Like that sounds for real. But this idea of staying in connection and having communication and having practice with ancestors, I think that's where things get muddy. So that's how I kicked off. And I was just saying how for me, I thought like that. That's how I was. I was like, yeah, ancestors are great. My grandfather was great. My grandma was good. I love them. They're gone now. And that was it. And it wasn't until for me, probably about 4 years ago, that's all, only 4 years ago. That's not very long ago. I heard this podcast and this Black woman talking about how powerful her life has become since she's been in conversation and honoring with her ancestors. And when I started to really hear it, I don't know, she just really struck me by the way that she was explaining it. And that's really what got me on my journey to take this step a bit further. So I think today what we want to do is talk a little bit more about the role, how people, if this sounds interesting and compelling to you, how you may be able to start incorporating a practice with your ancestors and continue to have relationship with them. Because in my opinion, it's very real. And I see how it has played a role in my life in a myriad of ways. So that's my story. I think I stalled enough. I think you are clear and crystal. And please, I hope so, Barry. Can you say something? Oh, gosh. Oh, no, it's frozen again. You'll look really, it's breaking up. So what I'm thinking you should do is log out and then log back in, because I think it's going to keep doing this until.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you out the screen, and then we'll see you back in a minute. I'm taking you out. All right. Hopefully, Barry, we can get his situation together, because he's my partner in crime with this, and he's got some really, really good information to be able to share. So what would be really helpful while we're waiting for Barry is if you have any questions about this, or if you have experience with this, to put it in the comment if you're here live time. If you're watching the replay, you can do the same, and we can come back and respond to that. But I do want to talk about, we had a couple questions that we had posed. And so I'm going to kick it off until he can get back in. So what are ancestors? So ancestors, the way that I see, because again, this is just my personal experience, and spiritual shift really is our way of not trying to have church. It's not our way of attempting to teach people to do something different. It's really our experience. Barry does have educational academic experience with, in seminary and so forth. So I think his is a little bit more academic, but this is just Kenya's opinion because I'm not trained in that space, but I do practice a lot. So for me, ancestors are all those who came before me, who have transitions and who are in another realm. And so that alone, you have to, I think, believe in, have faith in, understand, be curious about when it comes to this role of ancestors. If you don't really feel that when people pass, they still are in another type of realm, I think this will be a very challenging concept to bring to light. If it's something that you've kind of thought about, but just really haven't picked apart, I ask you to pay attention a little bit and think, put on your science hat for a moment. Because one of the things I think, unfortunately, our society has made us feel that only science in tangible, handed ways are the ways we can believe anything. And I do think that we have, science is valid, incredibly valid, and the tangibility of science has an enormous space in this earth human experience we have. But there are also some things that maybe not be tangible science, but still carry science law into different spaces. So if we think of just the law of energy, right? If we just think about energy, and if you are a scientist and you really believe in it that way, and we understand that energy, if you've studied science, energy is that one form of matter that it can only transfer and transform. You can't kill it and it be just gone. Energy is this source that transfers, it transforms, it goes into different states, but it has this unique ability to not just be cut off. All right, I see Barry in the room. I'm gonna see if I can get him up here again. Let's see what happens, see if we can actually hear you. You're in the space, okay. I see you were like kind of where we were. You know what might be better is if you just join me.
Can you hear me, Kate?
I can, but it's doing kind of the same thing again. It's freezing up. Do you want to just join me and sit next to me and we talk? Let's do it that way. This is why we do it in the same space.
Do it that way.
Yeah, we're going to do it that way. All right. So Barry is going to join me. I'm going to remove you from the screen. He's just going to sit next to me. All right. That's just going to make it easier. Because I don't want to waste more time with it. And here he comes. Oh boy. All right. You know what? Yep. If you bring the other stool. All right. So he's going to come and join me. Welcome. Today, this is Spiritual Shift. If you're just coming in, we've been having all kinds of technical difficulties, but that's all right because the ancestors are going to come in, right, and help us. Anyway, as you see in the scroll here, what role do ancestors play in your life? That's our topic. This is all recorded, so you can always go back and listen. If you missed the top half, you really haven't missed much because we've been having technical difficulties. But he's getting ready to sit next to me and we'll just have this conversation together. But one of the questions I had just posed is, what are ancestors? And hello. Oh, good grief.
Oh, this is great.
This works. Okay. This works. So here, we're going to do it this way. That way you can really see.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Barry Riley. We were having, it's just like magic. He can get in my screen frame. So, but this is better. This way you're not frozen. The light's good.
It was like, what was that all about?
I don't know. The ancestors.
It's a spiritual shift.
It's a spiritual shift. So this question, the first question I posed is, what are ancestors? And I said ancestors are all that have come before me, that are in my blood line, part of my community, my family community. And then I was explaining, though, that I think for people to really tap into this whole idea of the role, they also have to be considerate and thoughtful about this idea that when we transition, we're in a different realm, and that it's not just. So if you're struggling with that idea, this may be a bit challenging. That's my thoughts. But what are your thoughts?
So one of the things that I definitely like to bring into the conversation is I like to bring Disney in.
Disney
does a phenomenal job with The Lion King, which is what I'm about to talk about.
Okay, you're right.
And the movie Soul.
The movie Soul, for sure.
Which was extraordinary.
It was.
It was a good movie, but how they wove in some really pertinent aspects of spirituality and stuff like that. But in The Lion King, there's a concept that gets played out in the movie called the circle of life. And this is actually what we're talking about. It's a real thing. Disney put it in a movie, and we sang along with it and Kuna Matata, but it does have real meaning in spirituality. So there is something called a circle of life. And like this thing that I have on, this symbol that I have on, that many are familiar with, called the Ankh, is also a part of this circle of life concept. So that when we're born, when we're born, we actually have come from somewhere. And then we live out this life. And then when we're finished with this life, we pass back into another life. So in essence, the teachings, the ancient teachings that go back, so far.
Sorry, sound. Trying to share on the Facebook. Keep going.
The teachings and the understandings go back so far that we don't even have like they're like tens of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of years. And this understanding was that there really is no death. There's really just a circle of coming and becoming and going and becoming and becoming and going, like over and over and over again. So that's the first, just kind of like a foundational understanding of what we're talking about. So this concept of ancestors, when you are in what's called the life, you're alive here, you're conscious in this realm. Excuse me. When you pass into the afterlife, people think that they're in the ground, people are just dead and all this kind of stuff. And no, that's actually not correct.
According to what you think, because we want to be really sensitive.
According to absolutely, like we say all the time, I come from a serious evangelical fundamental Christian background. Like it's how I grew up. I went to seminary. I graduated. I was in the ministry for like a quick second. I put my toe in. It was like, nah, that's not really what I was trying to do. So I have a lot of respect for Christianity. I still am very involved in Christian things. I still study, still research, have lots of relationships with people that are tied to the Christian faith. So I'm not trying to disrupt people's stuff. I'm not trying to disrupt their Christianity, take your Jesus from you, none of that stuff. But what I say is that if anyone wants to know if there's more to the story of Christianity than what is generally talked about in the Bible or in church, there is a lot more to the story.
Yeah.
But so according to other teachings, that when you pass away, you continue your journey in another, let's just say, realm. People call it the world of the dead, but I don't like to call it the world of the dead.
I like the language realm. Yeah.
But it's there's lots of actual words for it. The Dogon call it the Imitet, the Underworld. You've heard of this word, but the thing is that there is a place where our relatives, our blood relatives, go when they pass away, and they all don't go to the same place according to these teachings.
According to those teachings,
they don't all go to the same place. It's
Right.
not really understood as a heaven and a hell. It's really depending on how far you have developed in this life. That determines where you go. That determines where you go.
Highlight that a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on, and it's not about.
Is it about good, bad?
It's not about good or bad.
Right,
That's the thing. It's
right.
not really, and that's the other thing. It's not according to the teachings.
According to these teachings,
it's not about good or bad. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive to be good if that's it doesn't mean that, but it's not about good or bad. It's more so about your level of development, where you have developed yourself. Your true self, your soul, and your spirit, like where you've developed to, that determines where you go.
Okay, so that was pretty deep, and I hope everybody, again, if this is something that that resonates with you, put it in the chat. Barry never really sits next to me, so he doesn't see all this multitasking that I do. So I try to check here. We got to feed him. Yes. All right. So, and feel free to put stuff in the chat. So we're going to talk about, I see Rakia said we got to feed the ancestors. And so we want to get in that space, because feeding the ancestors is a way of giving them energy to be, more active in our lives. And so we want to talk about, we're going to go there a little bit. So this idea that ancestors are existing in this different realm, and that they're having their own journey now there, but there is still a connection if invited into this realm, just in a different way. So I know for me, this is why this becomes so, when people do transition, how this is a new relationship to have now with that person. We have this humanly relationship with them. But, and not to say that makes everything, hunky-dory and everything's great now, because obviously there's a human experience that was really, had a huge magnitude for us. So now for one person that we love to be in a different space, that we can't touch and feel and do, that's a lot to get around that. But there is a way to still activate this relationship. And so let's talk a little bit more about the why, and then we'll go into the how. Why is this
relationship important?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, okay, I have to go back a little bit again. So when we are actually birthed, we are, according to the teachings.
We're going to keep saying that.
I'm going to keep saying that.
According to the teachings.
According to the teachings. According to the doctrine, no, it's not really doctrine. It's according to the teachings. We are literally a composite of our ancestors. Okay, so we are our ancestors, literally, not theoretically.
Well, if you just let's put the science hat on again, right? So we believe in, because this is science in its tangible matter way is what's taught in our culture, right? So we're taught about DNA, we're taught about genetics, we're taught about those things. So if you believe in genetics and you believe in DNA and you believe that, I came from my mama and my daddy, then you should understand that we are definitely our ancestors, right? Because I look like my grandma, or I look like Auntie Joe, or, all these things, right? So just kind of so that people can see, I think sometimes we get so disconnected from
that. And then more something like everyone has a mother and a father. So you look like your mama and your father, right? Or some aspects of
some
that.
aspects, right?
Lots of times your grandfather will jump in there, or your grandmother will jump in to your physical makeup, the composite of you, whoever you are. You'd be like, oh, you look like my grandfather's brother. Such and such, such and such. Every day, all day, that's going on. All right. So if you just expand that, it's that, and then infinitely more profound than that. So not only are we talking physically, but it's expansive. So it's like
we're gonna try to teach it like we're
like we're fifth graders, right?
Yes, or no, so it's second graders.
Right. So it's like everything that your ancestors wanted you to be and have in this lifetime was compiled together, and then that became you. Mm-hmm. It merged with you as an individual, like your unique soul spirit, and then your ancestors came in and be like, take some of that, take some of that too, give them some of that. Okay, we got to give them some of this too. We got to give her some of this. Okay, now all of that is in context because you came here to do certain things. So some of these things are for you in your journey, but some of them are also for your ancestors to help them, because there's to help them heal, to lots of stuff. So that's why the relationship is extremely important for your, to be connected to your ancestors, because they are in a different realm and they can see more. They understand a lot more than we do here. So they have a lot more information.
And they have a lot more power.
They have a lot more power.
Yeah.
They can do a lot of things. So
let me just interject. Those who are just kind of coming in, make sure you come back to the replay, because right now coming in at this point might feel a bit esoteric, but I think we were able to kind of break down this whole concept of ancestors. And, I think in general, that's a term that many relate to and believe that, yes, our ancestors are those who have passed on before us. And what you're saying is that in this other realm, they too not only are just our ancestors, but they want some healing done of some things that happened in their lifetimes. They are also there for you, to protect you, and to have, give you space and energy, if invited in, to accomplish the very things that they were hoping for you in the first place. So I think the other piece of this that people can relate to, especially as African Americans watching what's happened in the world, when Ketanji was voted into the Supreme Court justice, although, oh Lord, the Supreme Court. But anyway, when she was voted into that, I saw a lot of memes. I even posted something, we are our ancestors' greatest dream, and like how amazing this was, because, after all of these years, to see a Black woman in this position is something that we know that the ancestors, or those of us who believe in this, have really poured into to get us in these spaces. So that's not unique to her, right?
Right.
This is something that can carry on in your own individual lives. And a lot of these teachings, to me, have not been given to us, because that would be another hole in the belt of power, of us becoming more powerful, of us having more dominion in our lives, and be in relationship with entity that can help us be more of what we came here to be in the first place.
Right.
So that's kind of where we were at. And so I'm hoping that those who don't understand this, or, are curious about this gives you at least a foundation of why this would be important or significant.
Yeah. So I want to just interject something that is it's gonna be weird to people that are still practicing Christianity. And I don't like, please believe me, I am an ally of Christians. I mean, I really am. Like I said, I was a Christian for, I would say, maybe half of my life at this
What do you
point.
label yourself now, or do you label?
I don't really have a label.
Yeah.
I'm a, if it's anything, I'm a mystic. If anything, you know, it's a mystic, because the sciences, the spiritual sciences and the mystical sciences are, there's no category that you can actually put them in. There's no label. So right now I don't really have a label.
Right.
And I'm fine with that.
Right.
But what, in my view, what, you know, my research, what happened was when Christianity came into prominence, and really started moving around here on the planet globally, well, even before that, as the church fathers were setting up the actual theology of Christianity. And remember, when this was going on, there was so many different sects and factions of religion and cults, what people call cults. It was so many of them. So what they did is they okay, so let me go back. I'm sorry. Let me go back. So the ancestors really.
And remember, we're second grade.
We're second graders.
Okay,
this is fine.
Okay.
Second graders will understand this.
Okay.
So you have the concept of a God, right? You have the God that's up here, and then you have us that's here. The ancestors are intermediaries between the divine world, the goddesses, and us. Our ancestors were the intermediary. Okay, we couldn't just go straight to God, you know, be like, yo, can we get this? No, you had to go through your ancestors, and you had to do certain things, offerings, you know, and then if your ancestors were like, I can help you with this, we don't need to go to the deity or we can do this. Now, if there were things that the ancestors were like, okay, we need to go to such and such to get this done, then you would bring that to the ancestors, and then your ancestors would then bring it to the divine world. Gotcha. Now, in Christianity, what happened was they took the ancestral concept out of the way and replaced it with Jesus.
Gotcha.
So now we go to Jesus to get our stuff. Now that's just according to the teachings. You don't have to actually believe nothing I'm saying about this. Trust me and believe me. You don't have to believe nothing I'm saying about that. But that is what, you know, according to what I have been researching and looking at, that's actually what happened. So
let's, only because of sake of time, let's talk about, we got gypped because of technicalities. But that's okay. We weren't gypped. Because if you want to continue talking about this, we have a space that we'll present shortly that you can join, so that if you really like want to ask your questions and like challenge this and all the things. I mean, we want exchange. We want community in this. We want to have conversations. We don't want to say, this is the law and this is how. No. The energy that we are in this world now, we have to be willing to ask our questions so we can get to our truth, so that we are more purposeful and intentional. That's really what's going to create shift overall. But a lot of people talk about the ancestral altar or the ancestors' altar. And I think this is a common question for those who are kind of curious. They're like, okay, do I have to have an altar? Is that a must in order to be in communication with my ancestors? Or can I just practice in my thoughts and in my prayers and talk that way? Or is the altar necessary, in your opinion?
Both.
Okay.
You know, you can talk to your ancestors just like you talk to the Lord.
You should be. Yeah.
Talk to Jesus. You know, you can talk to your ancestors because they are you're walking around with them in your body, like you are their body, Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
So they're with you all the time. Because remember, you are a composite of them, literally. So yeah, you can talk to them, and the altar is a more of a formalized platform, a formalized modality where you can build energy. It's a multi-dimensional, interdimensional platform for you. Can a second grader understand that?
I mean, kind of. It's basically a physical space, by which you can. Again, I do think the tangibility of things and the power of matter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to put this also in science because I know I'm a scientist,
Mm-hmm.
and for me, it has helped me. I'm a scientist, but I'm also an artist, and I'm also creative. So I have this weird brain. So I'm pretty. I bend both ways, and it doesn't. I don't get too stuck in one or the other. But I do think that because of the way we are taught in this culture, the more that I have found, the more that I can help people see the parallels, the more you can kind of move in the space. So, I think the altar provides a tangibility instead of this more esoteric, where are they in the air? It gives it this, which could then allow that relationship to be more powerful.
So I'll explain it like this for Christians. When you do communion and you have the bread and the wine, and you have the bread and the wine, you don't just sit them on a chair or something like that. You have a table, an official table that you place these sacraments on. And then when you come up to the front and you take part in the ritual, it's you're giving space to the actual space where the blood and the body of Christ is sitting. Okay, that table, and then you take part in that. So your altar is similar.
Same idea.
It's very similar in the sense that how I explain to people is that having a table, a small little it could be anything that you can place your relatives that have passed, like pictures of them, objects that they particularly liked. Excuse me. You place them on this, what you call an altar. So for example, when I years ago, when I was in an apartment and I didn't have a lot of space, I had a table. What do you call it? A table tray?
Yeah.
A table tray?
A TV tray.
A TV tray. A TV tray. So my altar was a TV tray. I had a TV tray, and I had it in a corner, put a little cloth on it, and that's where I placed all of my ancestral stuff. That became my altar. So it doesn't have to be some majestic thing, table, but you do want to, there are certain things that you want it to, you want to keep it clean. You want to have it in a space where it's kind of sacred, right? Or designated
for it.
Designated for that thing. Like my altar is here. Like, don't come and like,
now we're gonna just go chill and eat some food.
Yeah, like this is the space where your altar is, and it needs to be. And even if it's just kind of like, say you use a table, TV chair, a TV tray. You put it in a corner, and then you should have like a little place right in front of it where you can kneel and or sit in front of the altar. If that little section. That little section is sacred. Like, people can't go over there and chill and all that kind of stuff. So that's important.
I think what you used as the example for communion, that was perfect, because I think we rever that, we understand that. That's very digestible. And so thinking of having your own personal, your altar, your communion, you're communing with your ancestors. So this is a space with their pictures, this, like you said, some of their favorite things. Talk a little bit, and we don't have much time, so briefly about offerings and what that means and why that's important.
So offerings are important because so your ancestors, just like we need energy to exist here in this plane, they need energy to exist where they are. And they have ways to, move around and get what they need. But if we're giving them energy, they can in turn give us energy. So energy is so how we do that is placing, like anytime you make food, you can set aside a little bit of that food for your ancestors and place it on your altar. It doesn't have to be forever, just 24 hours, and then say, talk to them and say, hey, enjoy this, this meal that I prepared for you. And they aren't like, you aren't going to come back and the food's going to be gone.
It's not Santa Claus.
It's not going to be like that. They're not going to be like, oh, yeah, give me some of these greens.
Right.
No,
and I know
it's energetic.
It's energetic.
It's the energy.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, making some food or cutting up some fruit.
Yeah.
That energy that you're putting into it, and as you're doing it, your mindset is very important. Like you're putting your love, you're putting your intentions all into that preparation. Now, the other thing that is important too, I'm sorry, I got a cough again. The other thing that's important is that there's a concept called ancestral money. That's also energy that your ancestors can utilize. Just like we need money in this dimension, this plane, they need money as well. That's something that people don't even realize.
Yeah, that's real abstract. That's because what do they need? Because they're in a whole nother realm. So what are we talking about?
You have to look at it as if you're existing, there's nothing in the created universe that doesn't feed. Everything feeds on something.
Right.
So as well as everything needs to exchange. You trees, flowers, birds, bees, animals, everything. Okay. They consume something and then they have to give something.
Right.
That's just the universe. I didn't make it. I can't really.
Right. I just think when you say money, though, in our brains, we're thinking like, okay, so what they gonna do with the money? They gonna go spend it on something? Where that gonna go?
Yes.
Okay.
They use it to do whatever it is that they need done.
Okay.
In where they are.
Right.
I can't exactly say that they go shopping and like they go to the mall. I don't. But see, this is the thing. According to the teachings. So everything is according to teachings, like Christians, Muslims, everything that anybody does is according to teachings. Someone says, oh, you got to do this, or you need to do this, or you need to do this, and you can do it, or you don't have to do it.
Right.
It doesn't, but according to the teachings. So have you ever seen? Okay, let me say this, and then
I know, because I want to come in.
Okay, go ahead. Come on in.
No, well, okay, so and Barry, I adore you. It's so nice having you sit actually next to me while we do this. At the same time, I think some of this is, even for me, like a little abstract. I think the money is where I get a little, but I don't want us to spend much time because I do have a practice, and I will say that I do not have an altar yet. He knows this, and I'm always saying, Lord, I need an altar, but I still have a very active, I think, relationship with my ancestors. Now, what I do recognize is that I need to, the quality of that interaction, because I feel myself getting more and more into my purpose of why I came here. I recognize that I'm going to need them more. And so because this manly self of me, or womanly self, or this humanly self of myself, I recognize I have some pretty significant limitations. Just not bad. It's just I'm a human. And so there's just certain things that I recognize I'm going to need more support. And yes, I need some human support. I need you. I need my kids. I need my family, my friends. But there is a spiritual space. And I know most people would say, well, God can handle all of that. God can handle all of that. What is that necessary for? And I think for me, that's the stage I'm in, is better understanding my spiritual team, and where God, where ancestor, where spiritual guide, where guardian angel, where all this kind of works together in order to help me, in order to support me toward my personal purpose and mission. And I think it's very individual. Like, I think everything that we say in this discussion, when we do this on the first and third Sundays, is intended to give you food for thought. It's intended to help you to begin to consider things from another angle with safety. It's not here to preach. It's not here, even when you say teachings, it's a teaching that you can grab or not. And I think as we're moving and in the way that the world is moving right now, it's very, very, very important for us to think outside the box, because what had worked for us for so many hundreds of years, as you see everything else around us, it's not serving us the same. So we're going to need more options. So I think the money part for me is a little abstract. Yeah. But we're running out of time. So I want people, though, to be able, because what you are saying is really powerful. And we have a space for those who want to really dig into this more beyond Facebook on a live or YouTube on a live, right? Right. So you're not used to sitting to me, but because I got all these things and screens. Oh, we got people talking. So let's read. I do want to read this. In some African traditions, God has gods who work with her/him. Yes, Ayatoro. You need to meet Ayatoro. You guys would have some fantabulous conversations. I did read what Rakia had already said. Yes, the ancestors all day, all night. Oh, Ayatoro, looks like he also said we all have ancestors. We should call on them, know their stories. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I get it that the money thing is a little abstract. But yeah, we have been, we've been neglected as far as how we understand the economy of the universe, how the universe actually works. Right. So yeah, I mean, and we're gonna go. You want me to? I can just talk about sanctuary.
Yeah, let's go into that. I just put into our thing here to visit patreon.com, Finding Your Voice. If you go to that URL, that website, then you can join Spiritual Shift Sanctuary. And the beauty of being a part of this community is it's so little obligation for you. It's only $10 a month, but it's an opportunity to be in conversation with you. Mostly, I'll be there as well, to dig deeper in these topics, to dig deeper. So go ahead and you can explain. Our first one is coming up in 2 weeks.
2 weeks into the month. I think it's 31st.
The 31st. So if you join before the 31st, you will get the link to have access to be a part of Spiritual Shift Sanctuary. So you want to.
Yeah, and it's just a deeper dive into some of the things that we've been talking about here. Just it's a deeper dive into some of the technicalities, some of the scriptures, some of the teachings, where when I say teachings, I'm usually referring to texts, ancient documents, some other esoteric knowledge. And esoteric is just simply means stuff that isn't visible to the naked eye. It's something that's kind of hidden in symbols. You have to really kind of decipher it.
I think we have to get out of this idea that esoteric means occult.
Yeah, it just means hidden.
It just means hidden, and it means yeah.
There are many functions in your body that are going on that are esoteric.
Right.
That are. The other word is occult. hidden. All of these things they're just hidden. They don't, like, nature is very hidden.
It's very hidden.
You don't really know
Yeah.
why. I'm sitting here watching a squirrel, like, before we started. I was like, what is going on? I mean, and the squirrel is going at some stuff. Like,
I mean, think about your pet. Think about dogs. Think about it. I know so many. I know he knows. I talk about my my niece, my great niece dog, and how she's not a dog. Like she's a person, kind of, because the way her energy flows, and it's hidden. It's like I said, it's esoteric.
It's very esoteric.
Yeah.
So it's not. So we're gonna go into a lot of these concepts, a lot of these understandings, and I'm coming from the Christian perspective, in the sense that I'm sort of deciphering, sort of breaking down a lot of Christian tenets, a lot of sort of unveiling some of the esoteric information that's in Christianity, because we don't really get that information in churches. You don't definitely get it on a TV evangelist show. And it's really the foundation of where Christianity really came from. So we're going to be talking about these things on Spiritual Shift Sanctuary. Next, at the end of the month, we're going to be talking about one of the fundamental aspects of Christianity, which is the crucifixion and the resurrection, and where all that came from, where Jesus dying on the cross, being buried for 3 days, and then resurrecting to new life. That's all esoteric. It's all esoteric. I'm not saying he didn't do that in person. I'm not gonna actually go into none of that, like whether that happened or not happened. That's not really what we're talking about.
Point, right?
That's not really what we're talking about. We're talking about just the meaning of the esoteric and occult meaning of death, burial, resurrection, what that means on a larger scale for us, and how it impacts us. It's a very powerful story. It's a very powerful story.
And beyond maybe what church has taught us, or what our more traditional spaces have taught us about that. Again, spiritual shift is to shift you into another type of awareness, so that as you're making your decisions of how you want to practice your spirituality, you're making decisions from an informed, on both sides. It's kind of like, I was just talking to a friend about a diagnosis she got, and a medical diagnosis. And I said, I think that's, I understand that diagnosis, but make sure you also go to this space, this more, less medical model and more holistic space, to also get another opinion. Like, you get those third opinions. So the Spiritual Shift Sanctuary is a space to kind of get another opinion, to get another, feed of information. So as you are deciding for yourself how you want to practice or how you want to live your life, you have even more information. You have even more discussions, conversations, questions. It's really, it's about more of that.
Yeah, and even as a Christian, it would help to deepen and strengthen what you believe as a Christian, because you can see it from another angle. Like, oh my God, this is really what they're talking about. Like, Christianity is filled with, all of this esoteric occult knowledge, like, all the 12s in the Bible, all of the numbers, numerology in the Bible, like
absolutely
all of the sevens, like all of the, it's just filled with it.
It's filled with that. And it's, and I think having, instead of just being preached to, being able to do in community, and not just hear from Barry, not just hear from me, but to hear from other people who are also in the space.
Absolutely.
So that we can have a rich conversation. I think, us just being told what to do, those days are gone. This is why children nowadays, youth, are like, they're such a different generation. It's because they're asking questions that we didn't have the audacity to ask. And I think, they're doing that spiritually, to me, because we're attempting to shift. And if we're going to have a shift, we have to have safe spaces to do it. I do have here at the bottom to, feel free if you have questions about the sanctuary, about joining, or you just want us to explore another topic that's around spirituality or Christianity or anything, within this faith space, please feel free to email that info at findingyourvoiceafter40.com. Also, Barry, if you're wanting to get just a little bit more in touch with him, we're going to flick that over. Or you want to join more of the things that he has coming up, which he has some really yummy things, books, classes, workshops,
all that stuff.
Then make sure you go to Linktree, that what you see there, linktr.ee/OTF worldwide. And that's a way to connect with him. And if you want to be on his list or his waiting list for his book that's coming out this fall, that's how you get in touch with you.
That's it.
And then last but not least, and most of you already know how to get in touch with me, but that's not the one I want to put. See, I got too many things. Learn more. One of the big things that's happening in my Finding Your Voice community is that we have a retreat coming up. And a big part of the retreat is, we talk about physical health and wellness, we talk about relationships. We explore all of those things. We also explore spirituality. And we're doing it in Costa Rica. People are already registering in the early registration. We have a limited, very small amount of numbers. So if you want to, I'll be doing some lives this coming week because we're about to open up our registration to regular registration as of this Friday. The retreat itself is actually next summer, 2023. And I know many of you are like, Kenya, are you doing music anymore? Like, what's going on with music? Because I know this is on my YouTube and my Facebook. Listen, I'm always doing music. I'm just not in the space right now to do music the way I did music. So in terms of the traditional performing and going to the gigs and releasing studio, songs, no, I'm not really doing that right now, although there will be a release top of 2023. There will be a more traditional release. But don't worry, I am constantly, and Barry knows this, working on how do I get music out here in a way, not just my music, but the world's music, and get into a more appreciative space. How do we support artists better? So I'm still in that world, in case you're just wondering. Sometimes, I am a human, and I'm just taking a break. I'm being like Sade. She takes those 20-year breaks, and we don't criticize her. You don't know what else she's doing in her life.
Right.
You don't know. So anything else? Let me see if there were any other comments. I think we had, all of the comments. Anything else about the role that ancestors play that we want to leave for people? I do want to say this, and then you can, some things people can do beyond the altar. We talked about the altar. I had written down. So if you're curious and you're just still wondering how do we, understand who your ancestors are, write down their characteristics, just take a moment, have a journal, and kind of think about those ancestors in your life, family, who have transitioned on, especially those that really connected to you, correct? Mm-hmm. That just kind of resonate, that just kind of pop up. Write them down, and then write down some characteristics about them. And you want to begin to create ritual. And ritual and practice is really according to your beat, according to your rhythm. It may be that you just want to journal. It may be that you just want to flesh out some thoughts around this. Like, what is this to you? Is this even significant? Obviously, the ritual you just said with the altar, it can progress to that point. I have lots of stories of how I interact with my ancestors, and I'm gonna be honest, it was starting to really scare me, still does, because they're pretty active in my world in a very visible way. And for me, I have to really kind of put my mind around it. I'm more comfortable now, but then what you giggling? What you giggling about?
Because I've been around when your ancestors started flicking lights and stuff.
Flicking lights. They work through lights with me a lot, and a lot through simple numbers and things that were going to get my attention. And that's the thing you have to understand with anything spiritually. God, ancestors, they're working according to your beat, according to your unique fingerprint, because what may get my attention may not necessarily get your attention at all. So they work in those spaces. So doing that, and be willing to call them into your dreams. That's a really good space to connect with your ancestors. I do that. That happens a lot to me. And before you kind of go into ritual, whatever, be willing to do a prayer so that you can be in kind of communication. So these are just some tips, things that I do that, I've been taught. I don't know if there's more that you would add before we close shop.
Yeah, just keep it simple. Just talk to them. Just call on them,
Talk to him.
Just talk to
yeah.
him.
Have conversation.
In the car.
In the car. In the shower.
In the shower. In the bed. Before you go to
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
You know, just talk to
Just
them.
talk to them. Yeah. Well, this has been good. We worked out the technicalities.
I was gonna suggest that we just
I know.
sit down.
We
here
were gonna
after.
and we might do this again. What's nice though, sometimes in the replay, it's nice to see kind of, but I guess when we're in the same space, we're not always in the same space, but we're in the same space. We can just sit here like Regis and Kathy or whatever, you know how they do the the talk shows. It's pretty cool. I mean, I like sitting next to you, so
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Rub up against you.
Anyway, so we'll be back. If you do Spiritual Shift Sanctuary, you will see us on the last Sunday, July 31st. It's still a 10 a.m. situation. But this live that we do will be back the first Sunday in August, which I don't know what that date is. I think it's like the 6th or 7th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is
I think it's the 7th.
Yep.
It's August 7th. Which, guess what August 7th is?
I can't guess.
We'll tell them when we get back. That's a special day.
That is a special.
That's just, now you got it right. It clicked. Look at the irony of when this is gonna fall.
Oh, that is a special day.
That's a special day.
We'll
let you know.
We'll break it. Break that specialness live. So make sure you save and look out for that. So that's exciting. All right, you guys enjoy your Sundays and make sure you're joining us, and we appreciate you tuning in, and make sure you do the replay so you can get all the goods we talked about. All right. See you guys later. Peace.